Mental health in legal perspective.
Hello everyone, I'm Runa Sarma, the author of our research paper, Mental Health Problem in Legal Perspective. My co-author is my teacher Panchali Raskhoa. So the objective of the paper is to throw light on a mental issue and to find out certain solutions by comparing the legislations of other countries with that of existing legislations that are found in India. The methodology we have used is secondary data because primary data is not at all available during this pandemic situation. Introduction. Mental health refers to the people's cognitive, behavioral and emotional well-being. It can affect daily living, relationship with family, friends and other attachment as well as work, physical health, etc. According to World Health Organization, mental health includes subjective well-being, perceived self-efficacy, autonomy, competence, intergenerational dependence and self-actualization of one intellectual and emotional potential among others. Mental illness, on the other hand, refers to diagnosable mental disorders, health conditions that results in alteration of thinking, mood or behavior associated with distress or impaired functioning. India is facing a serious mental health crisis like any other countries of the world. Legislation play an important role in combating the problem. Mental illness, on the other hand, is defined as a substantial disorder of thinking, mode, perception, orientation on memory that grossly impairs judgment, behavior, capacity to recognize reality or ability to meet the ordinary demands of life. It also includes mental conditions associated with the abuse of alcohol and drugs. A study conducted by the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences conducted that 13.7% of the Indians suffer from mental illness and 10.6% of this requires immediate intervention. Legislation play a great role in combating the problem. However, legislations alone are not enough. What we require is a change in the outlook regarding the problem. Furthermore, in order to derive a clear picture, a comparative study of India with the rest of the countries handling mental health is a unique way will definitely help in this regard. Mental health in COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic has increased the problem of mental health to a great extent. Some important causes are mentioned here under. Number 1, added stress to our life. Number 2, worry of death and loss of loved ones. Number 3, stress about financial situation. Number 4, loss of job, business, etc. Number 5, personal, collective, national, global insecurity. Number 6, mob mentality and panic buying. Number 7, feeling of emotional isolation. Number 8, boredom. Number 9, interruption in normal schedule and routine. Number 9. Number 10, concern about physical health. Number 11, uncertainty. Number 12, concern about the war. Since anyone of any gender, demographic status can be infected, it is understandable that increasing mental health issues such as anxiety or depression resulting in erratic behavior among people amidst infection outbreak is not uncommon phenomenon. Outbreak can have a profound and broad spectrum of psychological impact on people. At an individual level, new psychiatric symptoms in people without mental illness can aggravate the situation of those with pre-existing mental illness and causes distress to caregivers of affected persons. Individuals may experience fear and anxiety of falling sick or dying, helplessness, or blame of other people who are ill, potentially triggering of a mental breakdown regardless of their exposure. Many people has lost their job or are working reduced hours. Due to the enormity of this pandemic and the global shutdown, the sense of normality has been turned upside down. The uncertainty over whatever the near future holds will make sustained attention a challenge. A lot of people have to teach or take care of their children at home who used to be at school, kindergarten or childcare. Domestic violence are also emerged as a result of lockdown situation. Some people are struggling to figure out how they should pay rent or buy groceries and are experiencing that the business or careers they have spent years building have no meaning anymore. Significant psychiatric conditions could be found varying from depression, anxiety, panic attacks, somatic symptoms, and post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms to delirium, psychosis, and even sociality, which could be associated with younger age and increased self-blame. For persons grieving from the traumatic and sudden loss of loved one from the outbreak, the inability to gain closure can result in additional stress, anger, and resentment. Persons who are sick or quarantined may experience shame, guilt, or stigma. Studies resorted a high prevalence of psychological stress with longer duration of quarantine, which was associated with an increased prevalence of post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms correlating with symptoms of depression. Foreigners under quarantine or isolation in hospitals or at increased risk of psychiatric issues as they are deprived of their social support and risk uncertainty for repatriation, thereby necessitate practical and emotional support for them. People around the world who are earning these livings on a daily basis, often in informal situation sector, literally living from hand to mouth, are facing both mental and physical problems. Let's see the history of legislations to deal with the mental health problem in India. Mental health legislation constitutes the legal provision for protecting the basic human and civil rights of individuals with mental health problems. Mental health legislation is the cornerstone of the mental health reforms, planning policies, and mental health programs. The Lunatic Removal Act 1851 was the first law which dealt with transfer of mentally sick British patients to England. Notable legislations are mentioned here on the number 1, the Indian Lunatic Asylum Act 1858, the Military Lunatic Act 1877, number 3, the Indian Lunacy Act 1912, number 4, the Mental Health Act MHA 1987, and lastly the Mental Health Care Act Amended 1 2017. The Indian Lunatic Asylum Act was a harsh act under which patients lost their rights of access to court to challenge their detention. However, the good thing was that it monitored the condition in the asylum and the treatment of the patients. The Military Lunacy Act 1877 dealt with military or army who were declared lunatic were removed to England and detained them there until they were discharged. The Indian Lunacy Act 1912 was an amendment as it prescribed every care to be taken to prevent an improper confinement of any person in an asylum. The government further considered that advantage might be taken of the opportunity to incorporate the provision of the Scottish law. Section 15 to 29 and 30 of the said Act, Chapter 51, which allowed admission of uncertified cases as voluntary boarders in asylums. A marked change in approach and undertaking came forth with the Mental Health Care Act 1987. The act was progressive in the sense that it focused on improving the living condition and ensuring treatment for individuals with mental illness. Of the act: safeguard the right of individuals with mental illness. Number 2, to change offensive terminologies. Number 3, to set up licensing authorities in central and state. Number 4, to set up psychiatric hospitals. In spite of all this, the act didn't adequately address the needs. In order to meet the needs came the Mental Health Care Act 2017. The most important change the act made were: number 1, words such as detained being dropped and words such as consent being emphasized. Number 2, introduction of advance directive. Number 3, introduction of proxy decision making option. Number 4, discriminalization discriminalizing suicide. Number 5, defining role of patient's safety. The Act provided choice of treatment even when symptoms were severe. Patients need to be aware of these procedures are forbidden and they need not be scared and come forth with the treatment in a positive attitude. They are: number 1, electroconvulsive therapy without the use of muscle relaxation and anesthesia. Number 2, electroconvulsive therapy for minors. Number 3, sterilization of men and women when such sterilization is intended as a treatment for mental illness. Number 4, chains in any manner as form whatsoever. Section 96 states no psychosurgery shall be performed until: number 1, the informed consent of the patient on when surgery is being performed. Number 2, approval from the concerned board to perform the surgery. In section 115, clause 1, notwithstanding anything contained in section 309 of Indian Penal Code, any person who attempts to commit suicide shall be presumed, unless proved otherwise, to have severe stress and shall be tried and punished under the said code. The appropriate government shall have a duty to provide care, treatment, rehabilitation to a person having severe stress and who attempt to commit suicide to reduce the risk of recurrence of attempt to commit suicide. Patients can appoint nominated representatives who will act as prior decision makers. Without an application from the NR, the involuntary admission cannot be made. In case there is no family members, medical officers can request District Review Board to appoint NR within 7 days. During these 7 days, social workers, nurses, or psychologists can take decision. However, this Act has many shortcomings for which further amendment are needed. The Act suggests uniform standard to treat everyone which is problematic. It suggests 1 psychiatrist for every 10 beds, which is criticized on the basis of minimum standard. Exclusion of government hospitals from its licensing procedures was a weakness. Limited budget and resources also mean poor functioning of national, state mental health authorities, which hampered its implementation. The Act has an over-inclusive definition of mental illness, which will have a significant impact on stigma. It also doesn't distinctly mention about the management of minors. Although the Act discriminalizes suicide, it shall not give any condition which would help reduce stigma, create openness, and make it easier to seek help. So the present legislations are insufficient and we suffer from lack of infrastructure and professionals in the field of resultant of this causes degraded quality of living and healthcare of mentally ill. The discriminalization of attempt to suicide is one of the major highlights of the Act, along with the concept of advance directive and ban on all those treatment procedures that the mentally ill person's nightmare. However, it should strictly adhere to discriminalization without any condition which help reduce stigma, create openness, and make it easier to seek help. Legislations alone are not enough until implemented. The Mental Health Care Act also emphasized that every insurer shall make provisions for medical insurance for the treatment of mental illness on the same basis as it is available for the treatment of physical illness. However, the PIL filed by Advocate Gaurav Kumar Bansal argues that despite Section 21 of Mental Health Care Act 2017 specially stating it, followed by an IRDA order in August 2018, none of the insurance companies are complying with it. The inaction by IRDA hampering the rehabilitation process of thousands of persons with mental illness, the petition said. A bench headed by Justice Rohinton Nariman sought response from IRDA and central government. The mental health issue is again being debated after the death of actor Sushant Singh Rajput. The IRDA, as the regulatory authority, the PIL suggested was thoroughly in its duty to failing to ensure this. This was against right to equality and non-discrimination guaranteed to all under the Constitution, the petition said. Bansal filed an application dated January 10, 2019 under Section 6 of the Right of Information Act 2005. To back his argument, he produced a RTI application in which the IRDA has considered that none of the insurer has followed directive issued to this effect on August 16, 2018. He accused the IRDA of not taking any immediate action to remedy the situation by penalizing them for non-compliance. Failure to do so was hampering the treatment and rehabilitation of thousands of persons suffering from such illness, it said. Let us see foreign legislations regarding mental illness, which will help us to compare with our own legislations. Most countries have established mental health care legislations. Italy, a pioneering country in mental health reform in 1978, it used legislations to abolish the practice of custodial psychiatrists. Italy has an independent body that assesses how well mental health legislation complies with international human rights, regularly inspects facilities, and regionally reports annually. Like Italy, many countries including Saudi Arabia, Israel and Japan use dedicated legislations and annual inspections. Italy has closed psychiatrist unit and open community-based health centers to give better care to the patients. Luxembourg teaches adolescents to discover their unique strength unlike traditional teaching methods, to overcome monotonous learning and to creative and happiest. Brazil, Australia, Belgium, Germany, Greece, Russia and South Africa has dedicated stand-alone laws for mental health legislation's compliance with international human rights, which provide random inspections of facilities and partial enforcement of mental health legislations. The United States, Spain, Sweden and France do not have stand-alone mental health legislations. Mental health is covered in other laws and assessment of compliance to mental health legislations is irregular and or non-existent. Germany's mass murder of about 2 lakh people with mental illness during World War II was criticized. Out of world pressure, later many legislations were made for the welfare of mentally sick people. Mental health legislations constitute the legal provisions for protecting the basic human and civil rights of individuals with mental health reforms, planning policies and mental health programs. Now I have come to the last part of my paper, that is conclusion and suggestions. Mental health issue is the need of the hour as the cases are alarmingly rising during the pandemic situation. No doubt the legislations are enacted in India regarding mental health and the matter of human rights is highlighted. However, the inclusion of some provisions could have given relief to people a lot during the crisis. Here are few suggestions from the researchers' point of view. Number 1, government must take initiative to allocate funds during budget session for treatment facilities providing professional training and service structure. Number 2, community service can be introduced like foreign countries in place of psychiatrist unit. Number 3, IRDA can make initiative of cancelling license of insurance companies for non-compliance regarding mental health insurance. Thank you.